You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Hello, beautiful people. Happy Wednesday and happy Mercury Day. To be honest, I was struggling with how to start today's show because yet again, we have another horrific mass shooting in the United States that so many people are feeling and experiencing. And I know that you don't come here for traditional news, and I respect that. So we're not going to get into details or anything like that, but I honestly have to address something I said yesterday. And this isn't to prove a point or say, astrology is so accurate or I'm so accurate or anything like that. I just want to make sure that that is clear. But yesterday we were talking about Mars moving into Aries, which happened, I believe, at about 4:30 yesterday afternoon. And we were talking about Mars being at the 29th degree of Pisces, then moving into Aries, a very restless energy. And we reflected on the last time Mars moved into Aries, 0 degrees Aries. It was on June 28th, 2020. And I looked at major events that happened on that day and shared that there were 2 major shootings on that day in the US, and 2, I would say, shootings that dominated national media because we have shootings every day. That's just a fact. And also coronavirus cases were escalating. So we just talked about this general air of escalation, of aggression, of potential violence. And I have to admit to you, when I saw the news, I even said, I watched it back because I was like, whoa, I can't believe we talked about that. And I said, I'm not saying that's going to happen because I don't ever want to put anything like that out into the universe, right? Like I never want to put negative energy or anything bad out into the world. And so part of me felt really almost guilty. Like I can't believe I said that this morning. But I think, like I said, this isn't to prove a point. It just goes to show that energy is real, astrology is real, and sometimes reality is not shiny and happy and all positive. Sometimes it's dark and sometimes it's sad. And what we're going to talk about today, I really appreciate those of you who are already showing up in the comments and even on Instagram. Someone just said, I was just thinking how much I needed your guidance today. The transit we're going to talk about today is extremely reflective and deep. And I start today's show with this message because I want to encourage you to keep leaning into astrology. And I truly believe there are no accidents, and that after Mars moved into Aries yesterday, we felt this almost abundance of aggression, escalation. Now the universe is giving us a chance to really go deep and reflect on that. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And thank you just for holding space for me to share that to start today. I know we're all feeling it. Jackie says, yesterday was so heavy. I was being attacked by people projecting and misdirecting their anger at me. It was so heavy, started at 1:11 actually. Interesting. I think this is a great point too. We all have really strong feelings right now, strong opinions right now. We all want, I shouldn't say we all, many of us want change on some level. I don't think there's anybody who lives in the world or in the US who thinks like this is sustainable or that these things should keep happening or is, I don't know, there are some sick people out there, but people who are here, we don't want this to happen. I know if you're here, you have love in your heart, you want to raise the vibration of the world, raise your own vibration. That's why you're here. That's why you tune into these things. So Jackie and anyone watching, I just encourage you to hold your own light, hold your own frequency by being a vessel of love, by not attacking people on the internet, by, not letting that like hateful anger take over. You are making a difference just by standing in your own light, continuing to put out a positive frequency. And I know you do that every day, Jackie. So yeah. Okay, so let's talk about what's going on today. Also, this debate in the comments is wild. I'm not even going to pull up your comments right now, but thanks, Cass. Okay, today, May 25th, let's pull up the chart and take a look. This is the major transit we're going to talk about today. Mercury retrograde is harmonizing with Pluto retrograde. So we have this retrograde harmony going on right now. Very interesting that both of the planets that are retrograde are connecting with each other in this way. And just a refresher here, retrogrades are times to review, reflect, revise, go back, make the revisions needed. On a collective level, it's very clear that some revisions are needed. Like these incidents keep happening and keep forcing us to review and reflect what needs to change. That's a whole other topic for another day. Like, we're not going to get into the political side of things, but collectively, a lot of us are reviewing things, right? You can see on our chart here, Pluto retrograde at 28 degrees in Capricorn, Capricorn representing authority, governmental structures, rules, laws, lessons, okay? Pluto being the planet of death and rebirth as it's been moving through Capricorn, showing us what structures are not sustainable, showing us what needs to crumble, what needs to be broken down so something new can be rebuilt. I mean, literally, as I'm saying this, it's like amendments, right? Like, what are we reviewing? What is our country built off of? What is the foundation that this entire society, this entire government was built off of? And a lot of us are reflecting on the original intentions of our founding fathers, of the structures in place that continue to perpetuate violence, right? Pluto retrograde, death and rebirth in our governmental structures. This has been going on for several years. Pluto moves very, very slowly. So we're at the tail end of Pluto's retrograde cycle. That's to say that Pluto will still be in Capricorn for, I think, at least another year. But we're really reflecting, reviewing, figuring out what still needs to be bulldozed, essentially, with Pluto and Capricorn. Mercury retrograde in Taurus. Remember, Mercury was in Gemini. It stationed retrograde and moved back into Taurus on Sunday. Mercury retrograde in Taurus is forcing us to slow down. It's forcing us to reflect on our values. Taurus rules values and physical possessions. Very interesting when you apply it to the current, I don't even want to call it a debate, but the current conversation in the US. So Mercury retrograde in Taurus is forcing us to really slow down and take a look at what's really important to us. What is sustainable? Taurus rules sustainability. What information that we're putting out, what news that we're receiving, all ruled by Mercury, is going to be sustainable. Okay. All right, so let's talk about what this means for us today, how we can use this energy when Pluto and Mercury, both retrograde, are talking to each other, are harmonizing with each other in this 120-degree angle. This is called a trine, and when two planets connect in this way, their energy flow with each other very easily. So this is a day where deep reflections, deep, profound realizations are possible, not only because both of these planets are retrograde and there's an element of going back and reviewing, but Pluto is all about that darkness, those shadows within, the things that need to be pulled up in order to be released. So there's definitely a level of intensity with this transit. And then Mercury retrograde, again, we're like reviewing, we're revising, asking us to slow down. And so when these two connect, it's like the depths within us connect with our rational mind. And I almost visualize it as like a pulling up of insights, a pulling up of information, whether that's individually, we're having these realizations about things that have been hiding in our own subconscious. Hello, subconscious bias, right? Many of us will just apply it to the current state of affairs. Many of us have subconscious bias that we are taking in constantly as children when we're so impressionable about safety, about laws, about firearms. We all are raised differently, and that's why we all have different beliefs, right? But a lot of those inherent beliefs that are stored deep within us could come up and surface today. Mercury retrograde in Taurus as well. It's about the physical earth too. And so, we're kind of reviewing like these collective issues of how we're all working together, of how it's like Pluto retrograde in Capricorn is about structures and government and society. And it's very aware that there has to be a collective effort here, that we are all going to have to come together in order to make change. And so not only could this bring up individual insights from your own depths, but collective subconscious beliefs. Like there could be, I know this sounds weird, but there could be like a post that goes viral or a tweet that goes viral today that shifts the collective perspective too. I guess that's wishful thinking, but stranger things have happened and a lot of people are speaking up. And I'm hopeful that there is some piece of information that comes out from someone influential enough that creates a change in perspective, a shift in perception. That is possible and supported by today's transit. And it's almost like those deep insights can just zing right into our rational mind because it's an easy angle. The energy is easy to work with. This aspect also is about discovering what stability looks like. We talked a little bit about sustainability with Mercury retrograde in Taurus. With Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, actually both the Taurus, Capricorn, Earth energies are all about stability. How can we get grounded? How can we actually build a stable foundation so our future doesn't look like this every other week? So it's, I think a lot of people are thinking about safety and security and stability in their own lives. I'm sure so many parents dropping off their kids at school this morning were worried, which is horrible. Honestly, I did not think I was going to be on a soapbox, and I'm trying not to be on a soapbox, I promise. But, a lot of these fears, Pluto retrograde can definitely bring up some fear. A lot of these fears about the safety of our children, the safety of ourselves are coming up and, can come up very easily. So, it's extremely reflective, this transit today. It's a time to observe our own habits individually, our own habits collectively, our patterning, the patterning of the government, the patterning of ourselves, the patterning of the communities we're in, the thought processes we are having, the thought processes the people close to us are having. Like, this is really the time to get intimate with yourself and your own beliefs and take a look at the collective beliefs too. And listen. I get that I'm out here just like spewing, and I don't want to do that. Like, that's not why I came on here, but I really think the focus is more on listening, getting quiet enough to listen to your own subconscious beliefs, listen to the narrative that's coming out from authority figures, from the government. This is not conspiracy theory stuff. This is just base level. What are people saying? How are people handling it? How does that affect us? How does that affect the collective? It's definitely a reflective day. And the goal here in using this energy with Pluto involved is to take these insights, take these realizations, and allow the beliefs the fears that are no longer serving us to be burned away so we can build something new. This is all about insights coming through that are going to propel the death and rebirth cycle. It's a very transformative period we're in right now. For the past couple weeks, especially coming off of these eclipses, there's been a lot of Pluto activation. We're transforming as a collective, and you can probably sense that bigger things are coming. Fresh energy is coming in. But in order for us to start new things, we have to let go of the old. And sometimes triggers can come up collectively that show us, hey, there are still these shadows. There's still this darkness. We can't move forward as a country if these things are still happening. I mean, honestly, daily. These are our collective shadows that we have to deal with if we want to move further into the light. Okay. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate you all being here and being receptive to this and allowing me to apply the astrological energy to what's going on, because, I can't come on here and talk about like, oh, today, hope your day is going well, without addressing the elephant in the room. It's been an emotional roller coaster these past couple hours. Thank you for reminding me to stay positive and let yourself feel the things, because the insights can come through from letting yourself feel all the emotions. And it doesn't have to be that you're devastated. Maybe you're not feeling much at all. And that is telling. And that's not to say that you're a bad person if you're not feeling much at all. Like, I have had those moments in the past 24 hours of like, I have a hard time like letting myself go there. And why don't I feel like overly angry or upset? Because we're used to this. How effed up is that? So it's like having these reflections as the emotions come up, like, why am I feeling this way? There's not even a whole lot we can do about our emotions with this issue other than speak up if that feels aligned for you. But also remember, no one is requiring you to speak up. You don't have to say something about every tragedy that happens. Social media culture makes us feel like we have to say something, we have to speak out. You can be compassionate and care about this and be sad and want to make change without sharing something on social media. So just a reminder in that sense too. Thank you, Cass. I appreciate you. It was really sad. It is really sad. And it's hard to even like comprehend, to be honest with you. And it's hard to sit in the reality of the situation without getting emotionally overwhelmed. And so I just, if you're feeling that way, let yourself feel that way. Give yourself permission to feel however you're feeling about it. And once you kind of get to the truth of it, with this harmony between Mercury retrograde and Pluto retrograde, the truth of how you feel, your beliefs about the situation, then you can decide, okay, what am I going to do? What can I do, if anything? Is it donating? Is it sharing your voice? Is it talking to a family member or a friend who maybe has a different perspective than you? Is it calling your senator? Is it, signing a petition? Whatever it is, let yourself feel the emotions before you feel the need to jump into action. Mars is in Aries now. We're like, we need to do something now. Have you heard that message? We have to do something now. When's it going to change? Of course, Mars is in Aries. Like, let's go. Let's do something. But unfortunately, as Pluto retrograde reminds us today, structural changes have to happen very slowly in order to be sustainable. So this transit is slowing us down quite a bit and giving us that time to reflect. That makes me happy. I'm glad this is helpful. Yes, there are midterm elections coming up. That's a way for change. Yes. And this is not me telling you what to do, but if that feels good for you to have a voice, to vote, we live in a democracy and it's a privilege to live in a democracy. So if you want to affect change, start looking into the elections happening in your area. Start looking into who's serving in the House of Representatives for you, who's serving in Congress for you. What are their beliefs? Do you think they should stay in office? These are the systems that are in place that we can work with. And Pluto retrograde in Capricorn creates this burning away of structures. And sometimes that can just look like electing new people. It kind of sounds simple, but it's slow and it takes a lot of time. But thank you for sharing that, Nick. I appreciate that. Oh, today is your birthday too. Well, Jennifer, happy birthday to you. I'm sure this is not the most fun birthday for you to have this year, but know that you still deserve to have fun today, and happiness and sadness can exist in the same moment. Joy and sorrow can exist in the same moment. Duality is a very real thing, and don't feel guilty or sad if you want to have some fun today, because you looked forward to this probably all year. So, I just want to give you permission for that too. Like, you're allowed to feel joy today too. You're allowed to have fun today too. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate you being here. All right, so that's the main transit we're talking about. We also have the moon in Aries, and the Aries moon is only making one connection today. So the moon moved into Aries yesterday afternoon and brought in this fresh energy, this feeling of go, we got to do something, just like we talked about. And there could be a lot of physical energy you feel building up in your body. It can feel like restlessness. It could even just feel like an underlying tension of needing to move, needing to do something. I cannot suggest enough to move your body over the next couple of days, especially today. If you are someone who doesn't regularly exercise, no judgment here. I am not. I wish I was. We're working on that. But today is a day where, like, just put on a YouTube yoga video, just dance around, move energy out of you physically. We're in the surrendering phase of the moon. It's a very introspective, quiet time under the dark moon. And the best way to surrender and release is to move energy out of your body. And as you're moving your body, if you're exercising, if whatever it is that you're doing that feels good for you, I would invite you to literally visualize any darkness, any stagnancy clearing from your vessel, clearing from your channel as you move your body. As you're sweating, imagine darkness, sadness, fear sweating out of you. That's going to be so powerful under this energy. And it could give you, I know a lot of us feel out of control with everything going on, but it could just give you a sense of control, leaning into that visualization, knowing that you are in charge of your own body. You can release stagnancy and fear and all these things just by moving your body. It's a powerful, powerful tool. At 7 p.m. tonight, the moon forms a conjunction to Chiron, the wounded healer. Astrology is real, friends. When the moon and Chiron meet up this way, it is affecting our deepest wounds. It is bringing an awareness to the pain that we're experiencing. We could feel very triggered throughout the day today, but especially tonight as the moon and Chiron are together in Aries. Aries is the sign of the child. It's often associated with the child. And so our own inner child wounds could come up. And we could just be triggered. Even little things could kind of like set us off, and you could have a reflective moment on your own of like, oh, didn't realize that was still living in there, didn't realize I was still triggered about this thing that happened when I was like 7, or that this one little comment my partner made or my friend made would set me off on this emotional spiral because there's something so much deeper that they poked at. So that is possible when the moon and Chiron meet up like this. Beware of reacting too quickly, jumping to conclusions based on past experiences. We're just going to be really triggered. And I would imagine tonight there will be a lot of triggering conversations around the collective pain we're experiencing too, about the loss of lives that we're all feeling and grieving and trying to understand how to honor at this point, because it's just tragic, it's so preventable, so senseless that this is happening. So just know that you might be triggered, people around you might be triggered by the current events or just by whatever's going on with them individually. Give people grace. Give yourself grace. Give other people grace. Be patient. Try to go slow. Healing is possible. Chiron is called the wounded healer because it represents our deepest wounds. Collectively, individually, our deepest wounds. I would say that gun violence in America is easily one of our deepest wounds as a collective, as a country. Healing is possible, though, if we slow down enough to observe those wounds, to tend to them, to give them time and space to breathe, right? And give them what they need, allow them to heal. So know that it's not easy. Know that there's going to be pain. Know that there's going to be a lot of emotions today. And when the moon and Chiron meet up like this, I didn't finish my thought about Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer, so represents our deepest wounds individually and collectively, but also our ability to heal them. And once we heal our own wounds, our ability to help others do the same. So healing is possible. Healing is possible today. There could be some healing conversations too, but most likely coming out of triggered moments. Thank you for being here, Jennifer. I'm so honored that you came on to spend your birthday with us. So I'm happy you're here, and I hope you have a moment of joy today. Yeah. Yes. And feel into that trigger, Jackie. You know, your lifelong childhood friends decides that your journey of growth is actually one that makes you fake and a hypocrite because you're not the same anymore. You don't have to respond to that, but you're triggered. You feel that trigger, right? So their issues, their issues, that's not yours to carry. That's their own stuff to work out, right? Like, you can't control what they think of you. That's not, if they feel that way, that's their prerogative. They can do whatever they want. How does that feel for you? And why is that triggering for you? You know you're amazing. You have so many friends. You have all this light to give. You attract the right people to you easily. So I get it when there's somebody that we share a lot of common experiences with, that we're close with, that isn't accepting us or seeing us the way we want to be seen. But I would invite you to get really intimate with your own triggers. Why are you feeling triggered by this? How can you give yourself what you need? And it's probably looking something like acceptance. Because there's an episode I did of The Spiritual Journalist, one of the first episodes I did about manifestation, and I interviewed Kristen Jenna. She's a manifestation coach, and she said something so powerful that really has stuck with me. This isn't word for word, but essentially, when you feel triggered by something, you wouldn't feel triggered by it if there wasn't part of you that didn't believe it. You would not feel triggered by something if there wasn't part of you that didn't believe it to be true. If someone said, this is the example she gave, if someone said, oh, you're purple, you're so ugly because your skin is purple, you'd be like, my skin is not purple. Like, you wouldn't take it personally because you know it's not true. So when you feel that trigger, and this goes for anyone, not just Jackie, thanks for letting me use this as an example today. If you're feeling triggered when the moon meets up with Chiron about the current state of affairs, about how people are reacting to it or not reacting to it, what is being provoked within you? That's the assignment of the day. What part of you is feeling less than or unworthy or buying into whatever it is that person is saying or doing? There is part of you that is buying into it a little bit, at least, if you're feeling triggered. So just some food for thought. You're allowed to change and heal and grow. It's good to grow and change, or at least there's nothing wrong with being a different person today than you once were. Sending all so much love. Absolutely, we're not meant to stay the same. We are not meant to stay the same. We're meant to grow. We're meant to evolve. And today's a beautiful day to evolve. And I would invite you, if you're watching this, to be open to changing your perspective, to be open to seeing another person's perspective. Because ultimately, we can do all the policy changes. We can, that's stuff that will happen. I'm holding that vision. These things are changing. But what can we do on an individual level is give ourselves love and put out loving frequency. That's what we can do. That's how we change things, is creating more love, creating more acceptance, creating more open conversation. Plato's fractured self, the small parts of us that make up the whole person or soul. Yes. Yeah. Now I want to look more into that. Oh, the love today. You guys, this is the answer. This is the answer. Oh, beautiful. You're already on the right track. We're like, okay, I'm triggered. We're going to go inward. We're going to process this. We're going to reflect. That is the energy of today. You got it. You're awesome. Okay, let's do a little overview of our day today, and then we're going to pull a card. So, there's a lot of heaviness today. And there's a lot of reflection that's going to happen. The two retrograde planets in our solar system, Mercury and Pluto, are harmonizing with each other, forming this 120-degree trine. This energy allows emotions to move through easily. It allows these beliefs that are deep within us to come up and surface into our rational mind. So this is a day where it could feel like you're doing deep reflection and having really profound realizations, but only if you are willing to shine light on your deepest shadows and on the collective's deepest shadows. So really slow down, and this is a time to observe what beliefs, what patterns need to fall away, need to die, need to be bulldozed with Pluto and Capricorn, so we can build a more steady, stable structure moving forward. This has to do with authority. This has to do with rules, laws, regulations with Pluto and Capricorn, and with Mercury and Taurus moving backwards. We're reflecting and reviewing on our values individually and as a society. Very on point with what's going on in the world today. And I would just invite you to get really intimate with yourself and do some reflecting on your own beliefs and your own values. The moon is still in Aries, making us feel restless and giving us a lot of physical energy. So movement is your friend today. Moving any density or darkness out of your body by literally sweating it out and visualizing anything that's holding you back or feeling dense and dark leaving you through physical movement. The moon meets up with Chiron today, making us very triggered. And this happens at 7 p.m. Pacific time. So if you're feeling that trigger, it's an opportunity to go deep within and ask, what part of me believes that to be true? How is this trigger showing me what I need to release? Remember, the moon is in its releasing phase. And be slow, be patient with other people around you. It's not just you that's feeling triggered, it's everyone feeling triggered under this energy. Try to be open to other people's perspectives. Give them the space, give them the grace to feel all of the emotions that are coming through with the current energy. And just to be human. Remember, we're all human. Nobody has it all figured out. And grace, space, and slowness today. And movement. Move your body. All right. All you need is love. All you need is love. I wanted to pull a tarot card today. I don't know why. I just was like, we need a tarot card. So I'm going to pull from the Modern Witch deck. I'm feeling tired of being tired of the waiting, and ready for a big shift, even if it costs me a cry and some pain. Let's go. That is the energy. But I love how you said, even if it costs me a cry and some pain, because that's likely to come up for a lot of people today. But sometimes, do you ever notice it's like after a really cathartic cry or a big release that you're like, oh, you can breathe that big sigh of relief. And it's like, okay, we got that out. We can start something fresh. We can start something new. It's like the water cleaning, like washing away. It's almost like the ocean, you know? It's like there's footprints in the sand. People have been walking all over it. But then the water, when the tide comes up, washes it away. And there's that nice, smooth sand, untouched. That's kind of what an emotional release feels like, at least for me. So if you need an emotional release, this is your permission slip. Let yourself feel all the things. There are a lot of things to feel. And it's not easy. It's not easy to navigate what we're navigating. Okay, let's pull a card. I'm just going to pull one. I'm just feeling one. Let me pull up the guidebook so we have it ready to go. Oh, that's not the guidebook. I feel like I'm taking more pauses today, just really wanting to go slow and give all of my thoughts time and space. And I would invite you to do the same. I feel like that's pretty on point with this connection between retrograde planets. Okay, what do we need to know? The Star. The Star. That's the card we pulled. I always give the disclaimer that I'm not a tarot expert. I just read from the guidebook. But the Star is a card that always resonates with me. I don't know why, but it just feels right every time I pull it. Okay. I love also that in the tarot deck, the Star comes after the Tower. And let me just talk about this for a moment. I love also that this comment is still up on the screen. I didn't even realize it, but wow, is this parallel and so on point. Oh my goodness. Okay. So a tower in tarot, you might have heard it, like the tower moment that comes up in tarot pulls. And it's often a card that we're like, ooh, the tower, yikes. The tower is, I'm going to read actually the description for the tower because that is the card that comes before the Star in the deck, okay? Absolute disaster has struck. We've built and cared for the tower with its golden and bejeweled crown, and now we are thrown violently from it. Fire rains down. Dark storm clouds gather ominously, and we are in absolute despair as the tower crumbles. This is Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. Oh my goodness. There is nothing we can do as we watch its destruction, and the pain of the sharp rocks below is unavoidable. I'm actually going to pull this, share this on my screen so you guys can see the card too. Because wow. I'm like on the verge of tears just reading this. Because it feels like this is a tower moment for us. Suddenly, massive and probably painful change is on the horizon. The tower is undoubtedly one of the most violent cards, but it doesn't have to completely destroy you. You might face the end of a relationship, a job, bridges may burn, a friendship may go up in flames. Jackie, that one's for you. But from the ashes, a phoenix. Tragedy can help us grow stronger and really illuminate what's truly valuable to us. Feel your pain, don't ignore it, and you can learn from it. Pain is just another necessary element in living life. This isn't even the card we pulled, but I just want to acknowledge that in tarot, it's like energy, and in any deck, right? It's like energy building off of each other. It's almost like chronological. So this is the card that comes before the Star, and here is the card we pulled. The Star. Darkness has turned into light. The Star is peaceful and content in her nudity. She has been born anew and became stronger from her trials. She is free and unburdened, not trying to balance or control anything, but is happily pouring her cups full of life, energy, and love out into the world. The ibis, symbol of creativity and inspiration, flies high in the sky above her, and the stars shine brightly for her. Despair has turned to hope. Your wounds are healing, your scars are fading, so bask in this time of peace and serenity. You don't have to do anything if you don't want to. Let yourself be free and accept these calm moments. The earth and everyone around you will rejuvenate you, comfort you, and fill you with joy. You are a shining beacon of possibility, so dream big and wish on that shooting star. There's always light, and the wounds are where the light enters. So know that this moment feels like a tower. It really does feel like a tower, the news that we're all dealing with. But the Star always comes after the tower. Light always comes after the darkness. And sometimes we have to let things crumble in order for the light to shine again. I love that we pulled the Star today. It just feels so hopeful. It's a sign of hope, it literally says. So if you're looking for hope, we found it. We found it through the Star today. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I do. I'm home today. Not feeling well, but it's working in my favor to slow down, really reflect. I've been feeling the need to do so since I'm moving and in go, go, go mode. Amazing how transits come and stop us in our tracks. Thanking the universe for all its signs. Yes. Thank you, universe. Knowing that there is a plan greater than us. And sometimes we have to go through tragedy in order to really face our own shadows and to understand what needs to be changed. I'm really grateful for all of you sharing your insights, sharing your comments today, being so supportive. I know this isn't the normal bubbly tone of the video that I like to put out and meet you with every day, but not all days are easy. And today is definitely not an easy day, but just hold this vision. Know that light is coming. Know that everything happens in divine timing, even when we can't see it in the moment. I love you. I'm so grateful for you showing up for yourself today. I'm so grateful for you all showing up in this community for each other today. It means the world to me to share this space with you, and I wish you easy navigating, grace for yourself, and grace for others. I'll be back tomorrow morning to talk more about the transits. Hopefully things are lightening up, definitely lightening up by the beginning of next week. So just know that it's all divine timing. It's all happening in universal order. I will see you right back here tomorrow morning, but until then, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.